Okay, it's the last dot point for advanced mechanics, and boy, it's a big one. It has this amazing word in it, derive quantitatively. So we actually have to know exactly where these equations come from. Um, Man, and this says including but not limited to. So we have to use all 5 of these examples, but we could do more in our course. For the purpose of this video, we are not going to do more. This is already plenty. We're also not going to do them in order. In fact, Kepler's laws of planetary motion, I've already said how that relates to various situations. So we've done that in the last video. Have a look at that if you want to know more about Kepler's laws. And we're going to start with the total potential energy of a planet or satellite in orbit. Okay, so where does this equation come from? Well, in the prelim course, you may have learned that the gravitational potential energy, or more correctly, the change in gravitational potential energy, is equal to mgh. The problem with this equation is that little g at different heights actually changes, right? So mgh works well as long as the gravitational acceleration is constant. But the higher you get, the lower it gets, so you need something slightly different, something to account for that. So we need a value for little g, and we can actually get that by combining a couple of equations. If we look at our F equals ma equation, and we consider the surface of the Earth. So that would be the weight force is equal to mass times little g. And that weight force should also be equal to the gravitational force, which is F is equal to G m1 m2 over r squared. Right? We can start to make some headway. So these two forces are equal. So we can in fact get rid of that, get rid of this, and use F equals ma to replace this F with ma. So ma or mg is equal to gmm over r squared. We can cut one of these masses out. G is equal to, little g is equal to gm over r squared. So we can replace this g with this instead, right? Because that is what this little g here represents. So now we get gravitational potential energy. Well, I should write U because that's what the syllabus has. U is equal to m, let's say m, h, and little g. And little g is capital G m over r squared. Right? And the height above the height in this case is going to be the distance above the center of the planet, and that's the same as what the radius is. So we can cancel this squared and cancel that h. So we end up with capital G, big M, little m over r, and that's what we've got there. The only difference now is this negative. So why is gravitational potential energy a negative value? It's because of where we decided to what location we said is zero gravitational potential energy, right? You can really pick any kind of arbitrary point to be zero. Previously, you may have learnt that zero was when something's on the ground. But if that point is zero, then if it falls into the ground, it's kind of getting negative gravitational potential energy. And if you raise it up, it's getting positive. But that doesn't translate well if you're saying, well, what if something's on the moon? Is it zero at that point? Because the zero on the surface of the moon is not really the zero on the surface of the Earth. And because they're not consistent, we don't use that at all. Instead, we say that as you lift something up away from the Earth, if you carry that object and you put it infinitely far away from Earth, infinitely far, then it has zero gravitational potential energy. As it gets closer, that energy gets less. What is less than zero? A negative number. So you have the Earth, you have a position at infinity. That is where energy equals zero. Any closer and the energy is less than zero, a negative value, U is equal to a negative value of some kind. Okay, the closer you get to Earth, the larger that negative value. as you can see, because if you get smaller and smaller r, you get a larger and larger negative value. It means it's less and less away from 0. Okay, good. Dot point done. Excellent. Let's try and derive some other equations. Where am I going to go from here? Let's have a look at the total energy of a planet or satellite in its orbit. This is really strange, right? Because we look, it says gravitational potential energy plus kinetic is equal to negative 𝐺𝑀𝑚 over 2r. So the only difference between these is that 2, right? Seems really, really crazy. We have to actually combine a few equations together in order to make this work. So let's clear the playing field. Let's start with something simple. So we want U plus K, and that's going to be equal to, let's put the equation down for U. So negative 𝐺𝑀𝑚 over R plus, because we've got plus K, and K is half mv squared, right? You would have learned that from your prelim course. Half mv squared is kinetic energy. Now, we need to find something that's going to change this half mv squared. Somehow it's going to have to merge with what's going on in here. Okay, so we can pull up our formula sheet and try and look for what the answer is going to be. And you'll notice here that we have mv squared over r is equal to the centripetal force, right? So half mv squared, half mv squared is equal to kinetic energy, but if we take that mv squared and we replace it with centripetal force times radius, right, we can start to make some progress. That centripetal force is then going to be equal to the gravitational force, and we can put this part of the equation in, and that's going to start looking a lot more like the equation we're going to have here. All right, so let's try to do this. So half mv squared, that's going to now, if where am I going to write this? Fc is equal to mv squared over r. Fc also, force gravity, is equal to g m1 m2 over r squared. So we can combine these two equations because the forces are equal to each other. So we have mv squared over r is equal to 𝐺𝑀𝑚 over r squared. Now we want to solve this for mv squared because that's what we can put over here. So r gets cancelled on this side, this squared gets cancelled on that side. mv squared is equal to 𝐺𝑀𝑚 over r. So this mv squared, let's use a different color for clarity. This mv squared we're going to replace with this. So now we have U plus K is equal to negative 𝐺𝑀𝑚 over R plus half 𝐺𝑀𝑚 over R. Isn't this amazing? All right, half 𝐺𝑀𝑚 over R. That's just, we can get rid of that, put the 2 over here. Okay, now notice that the over here we have one lot of gravitational potential energy, negative, plus half of the same value. Okay, so when you have -1 plus a half, you end up with -1/2, and so that gives us -1/2 of 𝐺𝑀𝑚 over R. Okay, and that's what our U plus K is, and that's the equation here. Okay, so deceptively ends up simplifying into something deceptively simple, starting out from negative 𝐺𝑀𝑚 over R plus half mv squared. Let's try and derive this equation at the top here now. Okay, not going to lie, my Maths abilities are being stretched a little bit here. Okay, so for this top equation, the concept of escape velocity, first we need to know what that means. Escape velocity is if you jump up with the right velocity, you will keep going up, even though gravity's pulling you back down, you will keep going up until you get to infinity. That's how fast you're moving. Now, we know that at infinity, your gravitational potential energy is equal to 0, right? And we know that from objects being thrown up and down, we know that when you throw it up, it starts moving up with a lot of kinetic energy. It loses all that kinetic energy and it turns into gravitational by the time it gets to the top. And then it usually comes down again, losing that gravitational and gaining kinetic energy back. What we want is we want to throw something up with enough kinetic energy that it's going to go all the way up to infinity, converting all that kinetic energy into gravitational so that it gets to infinity, where gravitational potential energy is 0. And then hopefully it won't fall back down because it's infinitely far away. And nothing can ever actually reach infinity. So at infinity, so we want our current amount of energy total to be equal to 0. So we want U plus K to equal 0. That means that you're either already infinitely far away or you have enough kinetic energy to get infinitely far away. Okay, because your current gravitational potential energy is going to be a negative value. In order to turn that negative value into 0, you need the same amount of kinetic energy. So in essence, your kinetic needs to be exactly the opposite of your gravitational. Then you'll have reached escape velocity. Now, to do this, we just need to substitute in the equations to work it out. So negative U, well, no, it's not negative U, U plus K. U is going to be equal to negative 𝐺𝑀𝑚 over R plus your kinetic energy, which is half mv squared. And that's equal to 0. Now we really just have to solve for velocity, and that's our escape velocity. So if we add 𝐺𝑀𝑚 over R to both sides, boom, that becomes positive 𝐺𝑀𝑚 over R there. We can cancel these masses. We can times both sides by 2, and we can square root both sides. So we end up with, if we clean it up a little bit, velocity escape is equal to square root of 2 𝐺𝑚 over R, 2 𝐺𝑚 over R. Nice and simple. Okay. Last bit of this dot point, which is this energy changes that occur when satellites move between orbits. And that part's pretty simple. If you are orbiting around the Earth at a certain orbit, if you're given a bit of extra energy, if some work is done, and some other work equations like work equals force times displacement might come in. If some work is done, that can raise your orbit, increasing the total amount of energy that you have as you move between those orbits. Or the opposite could happen. As you're orbiting, you might collide with some air molecules that might slow you down. You might fall into a lower orbit once you've lost that energy as well. And I think that is it. You have finished advanced mechanics. Well done.